In this video, we continue our discussion of divs. In our last video, we showed how to position the divs by using this position absolute top and left, how to change the background color, and how to assign a height and width to the particular div. And so you'll see that here we created one that's, let's see, we have a green one and a blue one. And if we look at it here in the browser, we see that that's what it looks like. Okay, so I want to continue this by saying, what if we wanted to make like a checkerboard pattern? How might we do that? Okay, well, so what we can do is we can copy some of these. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will first delete this line here. All right, so now we have this one starting at 100 and 100, and then it's 50 by 50. Okay, so let's make a copy of this. And now instead of starting it at 100, 100, let's make it start at 100, 150. Okay, so, and instead of making this background color blue, we'll make this one of these background colors black and the other background color red, like this. Okay, so if I save that and go back into here and refresh this, you see now I have a black one with a red one right beside it. Okay, so now what I could do is I could put another black one right beside that. Okay, so so I have 100, 100, and then 100, 150. So I could do one at 100, 200. Okay, and I'm spacing them 50 pixels apart because the height and width is 50 pixels. Okay, so if I did that, now I should have 3 of them, and you'll see that sure enough, there it is. And in this way I could continue. So like I could copy all 3 of these lines. Okay, put them here, and then instead of making the top 100, I could put them down 50. So I can make this one 50, that one 50, and that one 50. And now if I refresh that, oh, okay, well that's not the way, that's not what I want. I need to reverse all of the colors. So go in here, we'll make this one red, this one black, and this one red. And now if I do that, you will see that I'm starting to build this kind of checkerboard pattern. And of course I could continue doing this, okay? But as you see, if I continue doing this, then I have a lot of numbers I've got to keep track of, and it ends up being pretty lengthy. So instead of doing it that way, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to write some JavaScript that will do some kind of the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to, I guess I'll just remove all of these except for one. Okay, all right, so here's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to put in a script tag. Okay, and then a closing script tag. I don't know why this is adding in all these. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a new variable called elem. You can call it whatever you want. Call it foo or blah or whatever, okay? And I'm going to set it equal to document.createElement div. So in other words, this is the JavaScript way of creating one of these div tags, okay? And now I'm going to give it an attribute. I'm going to say elem.setAttribute. Okay, and the attribute that I'm going to set is style, just like I have here with the style. Okay, and then this is where I can put in all of this information. Okay, so I can do position absolute, top 100 pixels. I guess maybe I'll put this one at 150, left 150, background color red, height 50 pixels, width 50 pixels. Okay, and now what this does is this actually creates this div, but it doesn't actually put it on the page anywhere. I have to actually append it onto this page. So I need one more piece of code here, and that's going to be document.body.append, and then I'm going to pass in this elem. Okay, so if I save this, then what we should see is just directly to the lower right-hand corner of this black square, we should see a red square. And so we will refresh this page, and sure enough, there's the black square, and then there's the red square. Okay, so you might be asking yourself, why would I want to go to the trouble of writing all of this JavaScript code when I could just do this up here? And the answer is because with this programmatic style here, I could actually create a loop situation. Okay, so suppose that instead of doing the element.set attribute with all of this stuff, I'm going to create another variable, and I'll call this my style string. Okay, and I'm going to set this to position absolute. I'm going to put background color next. The order of these attributes doesn't really matter. Okay, and then I'll put in height 50 pixels, width 50 pixels, then we'll do top 150 pixels and left 150 pixels. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this area right here with my newly created variable. So all I've done is I've just swapped this out for a variable. Okay? All right, and so if I do this, you're not going to observe any changes just yet. Okay, so if I refresh this, it looks exactly the same. Okay, but now, watch this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put all of this into a loop. Okay, so I'm going to say for var I equals 0, and we'll just make it to 10 for right now. I++. Okay, and put all of this here into my loop. All right, and so now what I'm going to do is instead of using this style string as is, I'm going to go ahead and do it like this. So I'm going to cut it off right here, and then I'm going to add in a variable, which will be, well, we'll get to that in a second. Right now I'm just going to call it position, okay? And then I'm going to remove the 150. Okay, and then I'm going to add this, and I'm going to add in the position again, and I'm going to remove the 150. So in other words, this is expecting now to take a variable named POS, position, okay, and it's going to append that onto the string. So the string will have all this stuff, and then it'll say top, colon, and then whatever this value is, plus pixels left, and then whatever the value is again. Okay, so now I just need to create this variable position. So I can say variable position equals, okay, and what I want to do is I want this to go increment by 50 each time. Okay, so the first time through the loop, I'm going to have I times 50, all right? So the first time through I is going to be 0, so it'll be 50, and then when I is 1, when it's 0, it'll be 0, and then when I is 1, it'll be 50, when I is 2, it'll be 100, when I is 3, it'll be 150, okay? And I wanted to start at 150, so I'm just going to go ahead and add 150 to this, okay? And so now what you will see is if I save this, I should get 10 squares all in a diagonal row, okay? Let's see if it worked, okay? And sure enough, there you go. So you see that we got 10 squares all in a nice diagonal row. Okay, so using this construct, I can do all kinds of different things. Like suppose, for example, that I wanted to, rather than put them diagonally, let's say I wanted to put them all right next to each other. Okay, well, all I would have to do is I could remove this top variable right here. So I could just take this out and make this, put this back at 100. Okay, and if I did that, then the only thing that's changing is the position on the left. So I should get a whole bunch of squares side by side. And if I refresh, you'll see that sure enough, they're all side by side. In fact, you can't even see where one starts and one ends because they're all side by side. Okay, so let me undo those changes. Okay, and so now the question is, how could I modify this to go ahead and create the entire checkerboard pattern for me? okay? We'll be covering that in our next video, but as you can see, what I've been able to do is, in the previous example, I had to create all these different div tags, just one after another. Now, using JavaScript, I can create this loop that will go through and create lots of them for me, okay, without having to repeat all kinds of code. All right. So in the next video, we're going to actually go over how to modify this to actually build an entire checkerboard. Okay, and yeah, so we'll do that, and that'll be in the next video.